Hello and welcome to another episode of Zero to Hero in Fusion 360. Last time we made a pencil where we learned to use the offset plane and the loft tool. Right now we're going to learn a couple of new tools, so let's get started. So as you may have noticed from last time, this particular pencil has extremely sharp corners and it looks almost too perfect. No real pencil would be this perfect. So let's actually add some of that realism to this by adding some rounded corners. Now to make rounded corners in Fusion 360, we use the Fillet tool, which is basically this button. And the shortcut key for using that is the F key on the keyboard. And when you press that, you can now select an edge which you want to smoothen out. Right, so we're going to select all of these 6 edges of this particular pencil one at a time. And then type in a radius at which we want to basically smoothen this. All right, so we're going to select 0.1 centimeter, and that's going to give me this kind of effect, which looks much better than it was before. You can play around with this number, but I'm going to stick with a 0.1 centimeter. Yeah, and so I'm going to hit enter, and as soon as I do that, this is going to show up in the timeline. All right, so similar thing can be actually applied to these 6 edges at the top of the pencil. Now another tool which is there is basically the chamfer tool. Now I have already applied a fillet to these, so I'm going to undo that by hitting Control Z and then choose the chamfer tool, which doesn't actually have a keyboard shortcut. You just have to go there and click the button and select the edges again. Alright, so let's actually type in the radius here as well. This is not really a radius, this is going to be the amount of material which is going to be cut off. Alright, so if I hit 0.1 here, that's going to give me this kind of an effect. And if I see this from the top view, you will see that what this has actually done is it has converted our hexagon into a dodecagon, or whatever a 12-sided polygon is called. So it now has 12 sides. And if I play around with this number even more, I might actually get a perfectly symmetric one. So I think 0.15. Yes, that's a perfectly symmetric, approximately, I guess. It's an approximately symmetric dodecagon. So yeah, that is known as the chamfer tool. And what this does is it cuts off material straight from the sides. All right. And this is different than the chamfer tool because the chamfer tool actually just cuts off a circular amount of material, whereas this just shaves off a straight part of it. And if you've done any amount of machining, this is actually much simpler to machine compared to a fillet. Right? So those were the chamfer and the fillet tools. Right? So the next thing that we're going to learn is how to make a, well, actually before that, let's just convert this back to the chamfer because this doesn't really look that great. I mean, we're much more used to seeing rounded edges rather than boxed off edges. So yeah, let's just select all of these faces once again. Sorry, I keep saying faces, I mean edges. And then hit 0.1 centimeter, and that does it. I think this looks really good. So yeah, and as you see from here, the top view, it looks much more close to a realistic pencil than that chamfer looked like. So yeah, now let's actually create a pencil with a bend bent profile. All right, so this pencil is perfectly straight. Now if you want to create a bent pencil, like something like a bent pipe, which might be useful at some point, so let's see how to do that. I'm going to create a new Fusion file here by just pressing the plus button, and that's going to leave me with an empty workspace. It's like a completely new file to play with. And now I'm going to say create sketch on this particular plane, the bottom plane. Select the fit point spline. So what the fit point spline does is it basically enables you to create a curved shape using some points. That is, it basically passes a line through these points, right? So we have basically placed points at these locations. It has basically joined those dots and tried to give a smooth curve, right? So that's what a fit point spline does. Now there's also another type of spline which is known as the control point spline, which is a little bit different because it only allows you to choose certain points and it doesn't actually follow those points. So if I press there, it just it it basically acts like a control arm for this other point, and so yeah, hence the name control point spline. That's that. Finish sketch. And now what we want to do is we want a circular profile passing along this. Alright, so for that we're going to say create and select sweep. But before that, we're going to have to create a sketch in which we're going to make the profile along which this sweep is going to be done. So let's select 1 centimeter because that would result in a radius of 0.5 centimeter like the pencils we made before, and finish the sketch, right? And then we're not going to hit extrude because extrude just works in one direction. That's not what we're going to use here actually. Rather, we're going to use the sweep tool, all right? So sweep, what it does is it asks you for a profile, which is basically this, and it asks you for a path, which is basically going to be this particular spline which we had chosen before. And voila, it has given you a complete pipe sort of thing, which basically goes from this circle all the way up to this circle, and it has filled it with solid material in between. All right, and we're going to hit OK. So now we have something that looks like this, and we want to add a top to it, that is like the tip of the pencil to this, right? So how do we actually achieve that in this kind of a shape? Now we could have done this using the loft tool like we had done before, but now I want to show you something different. So we are basically going to select this circle and project it onto the plane perpendicular to it so as to form a line. How we're going to do that is we're going to choose P, which is the project tool. We want to project this circle onto the perpendicular plane, so we're going to choose that plane. And then the geometry we want is basically that circle, so we're going to select this circle. And as you may see, there's a purple line in the middle, which is basically the line that it has projected upon that perpendicular plane. Right, so I'm going to hit OK and finish the sketch. Right, now I'm going to press L for a line, and I'm going to select this line that we just drew, and it's moved me out for some reason. Okay, so we're back. Now we want to basically draw a line which starts from this midpoint. We want to basically draw a triangle so that we can form the tip of this particular pencil by rotating this triangle and getting a cone. Right, so I'm going to hit finish sketch, and now for the fun part, we're going to choose Revolve and select the profile as this and the axis as this. Right, so that's going to give me a cone. Now, you may also wonder what happens if you choose a different axis. If you actually choose this axis, it's going to just rotate about that. And well, if you choose this axis, it's going to rotate about that. And it's not possible because it's cutting the previous material of the pencil. So that's not really possible. I'm going to just go back to the original one. Now, if you want more detailing, or maybe you want to draw frustum instead, you actually have to draw a different shape initially. So again, it's moved me out. So yeah, Control Z and one more time. So yeah, I'm going to choose L for the line. Start here, not go that far this time. So 1.3, then maybe 0.1 and complete that, and then finish sketch. And this time we're going to again say revolve. That axis has already been, that profile has already been chosen, and now we just have to choose an axis. I'm going to choose this, and that gives us this. I'm going to hit OK, and then a similar thing here. Well, we want to project it perpendicular to that, so again this face, and the geometry we want is this one, and so it's given us that line again. Right, so we hit OK, and again press L for creating a line. Start from here and make it as tall as you want and complete it. Right, finish that sketch and revolve it one last time. Axis is this one. Right, that gives us a bent pencil. Right, so yeah, we have basically just made a bent pencil. I really love playing with these pencils back when they used to be available in the shops. So yeah, now you've just made your own, and you can actually 3D print this out. If you want to add color to this, feel free to. You can just press A and drag and drop whatever you want. I'm just gonna skip that step. And so yeah, that's that for this video. If you learned something in this video, please like and subscribe to this channel. And if you have any questions, please comment them down below. We'll make sure to answer your questions. And well, yeah, peace. Bye, guys.